Bonjour. How are you guys? All right, I am at the sink finishing cleaning this shrimp. I decided to go back to Mercado de Mariscos. I want you to know, after that little incident of scamming, I have been a little bit reluctant. So I had not gone back. And usually I am there maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. But I was so put out by that incident that I said I wasn't going to go back. And then I was talking to his sister, good morning, and she said, well, when I go, if I don't see a price displayed, I don't buy. And I'm like, that's a good habit to get into, instead of getting myself all bent out of shape and upset, right? So I am cleaning the shrimp. I'm deveining the shrimp now. I ended up buying whole shrimp with the shell because the price was good. They were big shrimp, $3 a pound. So I said, okay, even though I don't like to clean shrimp, but look at that. You got to take the poop line out. This is a major pet peeve. That's the poop line, okay? That's where they collect their waste. So you got to take your time. So when you go and you order shrimp from a restaurant, look to see if they took the poop line out. And you have to go both sides. You got to do, I don't know if you can see it, look kind of dark. But you got to do on the back, and you got to do in the front also. There are 2 poop lines. And I am using my paring knife, which you need something with a pointed end to do that. All right? Because you don't want to be eating poopy shrimp. So I was psyching myself to go back to Mercado, and I said, okay, I wasn't gonna go to that aisle, where those guys were trying to scam that lady. And I was gonna go to another aisle, and I was gonna look for the signs. But at Mercado, they have a side section where things seem to be a little bit less expensive. So you see a lot of the locals go there. So, I was still kind of saying, I don't want to see those guys. The same guys that I dealt with before. And I said, let me check there. Look at the poopy line. Ew. Oh my God. I get grossed out. And so I stopped by on the side, and that's where I saw the shrimp, and there was a sign there, $3 a pound. I said, okay, give me a couple of pounds. And that's what I did. But if I had gone inside the building where the scammers are, I probably would have found some that were already clean. Of course, you pay more. But sometimes I don't mind paying more. That's why one time the guy said, do you want us to clean it for you? I said, sure. And then I think they took some of that shrimp out. They didn't give me all of it. Oh my goodness. And the other thing too, I had been looking for another place to find fresh fish. Yes, I can go to Reba Smith and buy it, but theirs is frozen, right? They have to bring it in. And it's so expensive. When you go to buy Corvina, it's like $8 or $9 a pound. No, even more than that. And I'm like, it's like $3, $4 at the market, right? So I was reluctant not to go back. Good morning. Who's watching? Say hi. Yeah, this is gonna take me a few minutes because I can't rush this process. And in this thing, I had babies, I had daddies, I had different sizes. Yes, got the poop out. Ooh. Yeah, I think one time I saw somebody had come up with a little gadget, like a little hook that you can just pull it out. I don't think I ever got that. And of course now I don't want to collect gadgets. So I'm sorry. I woke up at, I think I set my alarm for 7:30. By the time I left, it was like 8. You know, you got to walk to the station, to the metro, catch the metro, walk to the market, and back. So that's taking me. Hola, Robin. ¿Cómo estás? Buen día. So that's why I say I go to San Felipe and the fish market. I get my steps in, right? So yes, I could Uber there and back, but if I come home and I don't go out again, then that means I didn't move. And that's a no bueno. You gotta move every day. I think what I struggle now is to just get to the gym. I'm like, Maggie, you're becoming so lazy. Yeah. So how's everyone doing today? Oh my God. Yeah, I was talking about finding a spot, a place that sells fish. But I'm never gonna find the same. Hola, cricket. I'm never gonna find a place that has the same level of freshness, because you know the mercado is right on the bay. So they go, I can see the boats. They go fish in the middle of the night, and they come early in the morning. And in fact, somebody told me if you get there at 5, you get the best. I'm like, there's no way. I'm gonna get up to get to the fish market at 5 to get fish. I'm not doing it. And that's the same thing like people going to, what is it? The Friday after Thanksgiving, standing in line to get a TV or a game. No bueno. Not me. Never done that. Never will. Never will. But anyway, so going to Mercado again today was a little bit different because of a couple of incidents we had recently. A couple of sisters got their bags taken in an area not too close from where I am, not too far from where I am, and I am in that area all the time. So it's like I was a little bit more aware today, even though I had my crossbody on. But, you know, people are talking about getting lanyards and plastic to put around your neck with your ID. And the police were out in force this morning. They were checking everybody's cedula. They ask you for your ID. They have never asked me. I pass them, they will be like 2 or 3. They stand there where the escalator, you know, ends before you can go scan. And they say, la cedula, por favor. But they tend to stop males, even though I'm thinking, you know, if you're looking for crooks, they use females too as mules and stuff. So, and I think one sister said they asked her to show ID once, but they haven't asked me, not one time yet. All right. So this sister had her phone snatched out of her hand while she was doing a selfie or something. Certain areas of Panama, you can't take your phone out. Remember, we're in the city. And of course, I choose to live in the city, right? And somebody might say, well, that's what you get. Why don't you move inland? Well, it's a choice, right? But inland, they have home invasions. So you can't be running away. You just have to be smart, right? So I was definitely more aware, because the way I walk to get to the station, my street is pretty visible, but I have to pass through a couple of neighborhoods that are like, right? But I've never felt, you know, like somebody's gonna, you know, pickpocket me or whatever. But this is a place where I know, I ride the metro a lot. And I know that, ooh, look at the poop line, you guys. Ew. Ew, ew. I love shrimp, but this is kind of gross. It's long. That is a daddy. Daddy poop line. Ew. I'm a strange kind of cook. There's certain things I do not eat. I don't eat foie gras. I don't eat frogs. I don't eat guinea pigs that they tell me when I was in Peru. Oh, have you tried that? No, ma'am. Snakes, horse meat. Yep, I drew the line. I said, if you have some roots and some leaves, don't worry. I can cook them. I don't need to eat that. But anyway, so those two streets that I have to walk through, sometimes the hourly ladies are still out. I call them hourly ladies. Even though they've never said anything to me, I kind of keep my head straight and keep walking. And that's where I said one morning I was going to the market. I was in my gym outfit, and this car pulled over, and I was worried he was gonna say, "How much per hour?" And I started walking really fast. And then I said, in one of the videos, I said, "You didn't see the gray hairs?" And someone said, "Oh, that wouldn't have mattered." I'm like, "Oh no." Oh God. Listen, you have to, and I talk about it today just because I don't want anybody to come thinking of Panama as this place where there's no crime. I told you before, don't come here with stars in your eyes. You're in a city, you have inequity, people are hungry, and some people just are naughty, right? And then a lot of them, if it's a gang initiation, I remember in Florida, we used to have that. The kids had to do something as an initiation, which is really awful. But when somebody wants to rob you, they don't care how old you are, even though culturally, the culture is very respectful of older people. But in the news, they have cameras in the city. So when a crime occurs or an accident, they can go and see. And that's why some of these accidents is like crazy. People come bearing down. They don't slow down, come to an intersection and plow into another car. That happens so much here. It just blows my mind. I'm like, seriously, if you had taken a basic driving course, and even if you didn't take a course, you don't come down a road and just don't even stop. I see that a lot. But anyway, so the crime, when crime is being committed, when they're reporting it in the news, they'll show you how it happened. And the police cannot be everywhere, they can't be everywhere. So somebody's gonna get victimized. And these cabs, I keep telling y'all to stay out of those cabs. People saying, "Oh yeah, I got scammed." When you give a cab driver $100, chances are you're gonna get scammed. He's gonna keep some of it. You do not come to Panama with large bills. We tell you that. 20s, this is that, don't bring 50s or 100. No, don't do that. This sister gave $100 to the cab driver. The cab drivers, usually it's like $2, $1.50. Why are you giving him $100? Of course he's gonna find a way to take it from you. He had told the girl $14. He said, okay. She gave him 100. He said, no, I told you 40. Hola, April. I gave you 40. 14, 40. They're just saying, you don't understand my Spanish. That's not what I said. Yep. So I was watching this couple who travels a lot. They've been to Panama. And they were talking about how The scamming is just, it's like theater. It's like a game. That's just the way they do it. So you kind of have to have your wits about you. Ask for prices, and if they give you a price that is not correct, you say thank you and you keep walking. Or when they're giving you a change and it's not right, you hold your ground and say no, that's not what you said. Another reason for you to know how to speak English, because if you're gonna try, when somebody is scamming you trying to get your Google Translate out, I don't know if that's gonna help you. I don't know. Ooh, the last one. Oh my God, that took a long time. But you know what? It's one of those, oh, look at that. I cannot rush it. I have to look at every single one. I'm going to be eating this stuff, and I do not play with that. But yeah, they were talking about, he said 5 countries where crime is, significant for expats, because let's face it, as I said, they see you as somebody with money. That's just the way it is. They assume if you can leave your country to come here to retire, you have money, right? And that's not necessarily true. But, oh my goodness, I don't know if you can see. Oof, okay, I need some paper towel to get rid of the poop. Oh, then I got to give my hand a good soap and water. Ah, that's why I don't like to clean shrimp. I don't like to clean fish. Now the scaling, I don't do that, period. Because the scale gets in my hair. And once I did that, even though they have fancy thing like a big brush, but the scales are still flying. Nah, no bueno. All right, so 2 pounds of shrimp comes down to this. So let's get some vinegar. Oh, this is one of the things that I don't have. I ran out of vinegar. I need to get a gallon. I love to have vinegar. It's like bleach. I cannot not have vinegar in my house. All right, we're gonna clean the shrimp. All right, guys, so I left my pet peeve. I had to unload that on you this morning. That 2 sisters got robbed here not too long ago. But someone told me about it. I was waiting to see it in the Facebook group, but I haven't seen anybody mention it. Or maybe I'm not reading. I don't watch a lot of that stuff. But I remember when that sister got sucker punched by that cab driver, that I saw, and everybody was talking about it. But these recent ones, I haven't seen anything about it. But I know when I got robbed, I told everybody, or pickpocketed. Now, if you're standing waiting to cross and somebody grabs your purse from you, or what I say to myself, he could have had a knife or something, right? And I tell the sisters, good morning, Greta. Oh, I'm so glad you made it too. Oh, shrimp looks nice and clean, just the way I like it. And if somebody comes and they have a knife and they say, give me your purse or whatever, you do that. And some people, this sister said, I'm not giving up my ID. And I'm like, sis, your life is more important. So we need to do like this other sister said, let's figure out a different way to move around so that we don't, I guess, carry a purse. We were doing the crossbody, but if he had like some scissors or something, he could still take it from you. So I would say you put your ID in a lanyard and then you stick it inside with the girls. That might be one way of doing it. Don't, you know, I see people walk around with their phone in their back pocket. That's a no-no. And, okay, I'm just gonna wash my hands again. So that is definitely something to think about, how we are going to move forward, keeping ourselves safe. All right, I'm jumping all over the place, right? Because the safety thing just got me a bit thrown off. All right, so today is shrimp and grits. And as I said, we're going to Maganize it. Maganizing it, that means I got to put my touch on it, right? So I got this. This sister was kind enough to bring me this grits. It's not it's a Quaker oats that we used to have, but these are gluten-free and it's from a farm and they're really good. I can see this here. She brought it from California, but I believe you can get it from Amazon. It's Palmetto Farms. I think I've seen it. I look for it, okay? So you can get that. This is white. I'd like to see what it looks like, because the last time Maria brought me some, it looked yellow. I remember when my kids used to say lelo, no, or paschetti. Those were the good old days, the sweet days before they became teenagers. Whew. And then I barely made it. Barely made it. Oh my God. And I said if I had to do it again, I would not. It was too hard. Having children go through those teenagers. Oh, look at that. It is white. It looks exactly like the grits you guys are used to. But it's not instant. They have the instant thing here, the Quaker oats. So we don't do instant. So I have the grits. I don't put cheese in my grits, right? Because I'm not eating cheese like that. You know, as you get older, to reduce thickening and mucus, you want to stay away from dairy as much as you can. Even though, you know, some Greek yogurt once in a while is okay. And I do have some butter that I put on top of some food when I'm cooking, which is fine. But, you know, like cheese and milk, I don't have those things in my house. And then the grits. So you could just cook the grits with onion and tomatoes. See, I didn't buy any tomatoes. Ugh, Maggie. I was thinking of it. I forgot. But green peppers and onion, definitely. But today I decided I have some okra. So I'm going to put some okra in my shrimp. Let me turn the oven on. And the way I cook the okra when I roast, and I roast it in the oven, so it's not slimy. And then I cook the shrimp and make the sauce, the gravy with the peppers and the onions. And then I bring the okra. And I know there's a sister here who loves okra. Oh, I think she said she's eating seafood, so she could enjoy that too. And what else? Oh, and I decided today, because my friend again, Lisa, if you're watching, thank you, sweetheart. She's on a cruise, I doubt it. But she bought me ackee. Ackee is like a heart of palm that, I think that's what it is. If you're Jamaican, please correct me. They do it ackee with saltfish. But I'm not using saltfish today. I'm using my shrimp for that. Okay. All right. So we got that. It's in a brine. It's very delicate. So I have to finish everything and then put it in and just kind of toss it and turn it and not move it around too much, because if it's kind of disintegrate, it's a no bueno. All right. So right now, let us get our okra in the oven. And I'm going to use this. I went to yesterday, where was I? I was at the mall. Oh my God, the deluge happened when I was at the mall. Listen, you guys, rainy season has arrived with a vengeance here. The dry season kind of lingered a little bit, And then the rainy season now, I think it's a bit early, like 2 weeks or so early. It's like, okay, we don't have a choice. So I said, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna get tomorrow. Let me get a couple of plantains. I wanna put some plantains on the side, you know, making the plate a little pretty. And then I have avocado. Oh, let's see. Oh, yes. All right. I kind of OD'd on avocado this week. I ordered 2 orders from my delivery people, and it's 3 for $5. And I love avocado. Like yesterday, what did I have yesterday? I had a cup of coffee. I had avocado. Oh, I cooked a couple of eggs. And then I went to the mall and I bought some nuts. And that's what I had yesterday. All right. So I said, okay, let me get a couple of, because I like the plantains to be about that color, not ripe, like for my duros, like the Cuban do it, but just I like it this way. So they had these 2 things, and look at them. They're like young, they're not ready. So I was like, ugh. So I bought them, but I was not happy with them. And then today, when I get to the fish market, they had a little guy sitting at the door. He was selling, and I should have bought some cilantro and culantro, but I was oblivious this morning. I didn't. But they had some nice plantain. Now this is a plantain, okay? So if you're gonna go to the store looking for plantains, you want to get the one that look like they're mature, because when you cut into it, it's gonna be nice and yellow. Otherwise, the inside is gonna be really pale, and it's in the bueno. So you have to know how to pick plantain. I don't know if I'm going to do this one or the right one. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel. But I did not buy any greens this morning. And I haven't been to El Rey, so I definitely don't have cilantro or culantro. As I was getting my stuff ready this morning, and I'm like, wow, I have arugula. I'm going to use arugula like culantro. Who says I can't? Yeah. All right. So, when you are a cook, you have to be able to strategize. Just like when I talked about, I don't know if you watched my short video I did about my Rwanda experience when I got into the city. When I got into Kigali, that was scary. But you know, you live to talk about it. I had another experience when I was visiting Panama one year. I booked it was a hike in another one of the provinces called Cocle, which is about, I think it's 2 hours from Panama City. And, now when you buy okra, I like the babies because they cook fast and they're soft. But when you get the big long one, the skin tends to be a bit harsh. But here, if I'm lucky enough to get it, I try not to complain. So I ended up having to cut them into pieces that would mimic the size of these, okay? But if I roast them, then I don't have to worry because it's gonna cook. So I booked this hike to go to hike this mountain. And of course you book through, like I've been using booking.com a lot, and I really haven't had any issues with them. The people who work with them tend to be reliable. And to me, that's a way, as a solo traveler, you know, it gives you a little peace of mind that they've been vetted somehow, right? And it's not a blow Joe that you don't know. So I was calling, you know, texting to say, okay, how do I get to you? And he told me to go to next to that mall and grab this bus. I mean, he gave good direction. And the bus went up the mountain, right? So we got to the mountain, and then I'm standing there. I see a bunch of people standing, so I got myself in with the people. You know, of course, I was adding some color to the landscape, right? Nobody looked like me there. But one thing I noticed is like there was one convenience store and it was a Chinese family. I'm like, well, the Chinese really got all these stores. And they do. If you see a mini super, which is like a little bodega, it's owned by a Chinese here in Panama. Yes, ma'am. Just the way it is. And so I'm sitting there looking. And one thing that kind of impressed upon me, there was a bunch of people, it was around Easter, close to Easter. And then they were just standing around, just chit-chatting. You know how they are, very community, family. And then this guy pulls up in a truck. There were two guys in the back of the truck, and the people kind of started crowding around them. I'm like, what is that? And then next thing you know, they were selling fish left and right. I'm like, oh, this is where the fish market is. So I'm taking it all in. Then I see this person pull up in a beat-up truck with a cracked windshield. He looks like an indigenous guy. And he looks at me, I look at him. And then he said, Maggie? And I said, you looking for more? He said, yeah, didn't you book a tour? I'm like, yeah. And then he said, let's go. I'm like, where are the rest of the people? He said, no, it's just you. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm doing all the thinking, my prayers, and I'm like, do I not? It's a beautiful mountain, but I don't know anybody there. I'm in Panama all by myself. So I'm gonna climb, going through the mountain with this guy. So I had to make an executive decision. I said, well, I already paid my money. Let's go. When I'm trying to talk to him, just to kind of get a feel for the kind of person that he is. Because I do that whenever I'm, traveling. I like to talk to people just to get a So we're chatting. I'm talking about his family. He's telling me how his family, multiple generations live there and that he owns a lot of land. And I'm like, but why are you doing this? You know, it sounds like you loaded or whatever. So he got to a point next to a little river. He said, okay, let's go. I'm like, oh, okay. I have my little backpack. So walking up the mountain, different paths. You know, some of them are really slick. And, there would be some places where I was like, and then he said, give me that. He took my backpack, he carried my backpack, and he would extend his hand, and he would pull me up. We were going up there for like 2 hours. And he's explaining to me, the story, the cascades, and we saw a lot of fresh water. And of course, he's like, you want to bathe? I'm like, no, I didn't put my bathing suit in there. I would not do that. Let me watch this. Oh my God, Maggie, you're just a crazy person. But as I kept talking to him, I started feeling, more comfortable with him, that, this guy. And I said, how old are you? He said, 62. I think I was 62 or 63. I'm like, and I said, I think if he tries anything, I could take him. I would go for where the sun doesn't shine, when you give that knee, that's, I said, that's what I would do if he tried anything. But he didn't. But we got to an area, and then he said, and there was like a little unfinished home in the mountain. And then he said, do you need to use the restroom? Well, I did, but I was like, it's me and this guy in the middle of nowhere, me, him, and Jesus. And I said, I think I'm okay. He said, this is my house. I'm building it for when people come. If they want to stay overnight, they want to camp, that they could stay here. And I'm like, oh, I said, that's cool. So I said, that's another come to Jesus moment. I said, okay. I said, Lord, Do I go in there when this guy is outside? Don't do it. Don't do what I did. I did use the restroom. And I was on alert. Let me tell you, I didn't have any weapons on me except my knee and oh my God, Maggie. So I did. I'm putting cumin, adobo, and oh, I need a pepper grinder. Somebody is bringing me a grinder, but and I'm gonna put some turmeric. I like to put turmeric in this one. Oh my God. So do you know when we got up to on the top of the hill, oh, it was so beautiful, it was fresh. It started misting and he said, okay, it rains here every day. He said, it's so nice. And I started thinking, and I'm like, you know, and I said, would you sell me a plot so I can build a little house? I can come here on the weekend. And he said, oh, we can talk, you know, because the whole thing belonged to his family. He and his family, you know, that's indigenous land. So, not all of it, but some of it. But towards the end of the hike, he said, no, he said, I'll take you to my house. My wife prepared you lunch. I'm like, oh. So we got to his house that was almost on stilts. You know, they kind of elevate their homes in the indigenous community so that the critters don't get into their homes. And when the wife comes out, she could have been my daughter's age. He said he was 62. That little lady wasn't even 30. I'm like, oh. And then there were some kids running around, dogs, cats. And this girl comes out with a plate of meat and plantains and tomatoes. It was the nicest lunch, one of the nicest lunches I've had. So the moral of the story is sometimes you just have to take the risk. And I'm not saying, you know, if you don't feel comfortable or if the person feels kind of weird, don't do it. But as I said, don't do as I did. Because I was hoping that there would be more than me. You know, if you're taking a hike and it's several people, this is fresh time, then, you know, it's good. But just you, don't take that risk. But, you know, of course, they're not as perverted as, you know, because we're always on hyper alert. But with the crime and the petty crime that I'm talking about, you got to be doubly careful. All right, so let's mix this. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of lime so that by the time I finish with the, almost finish with the shrimp, you know, the shrimp not going to take any time to cook. So this probably going to be, I'm squeezing some lime. That's going to take the longest to cook, actually. But okra cooks really fast. So somebody always asking me, how do you cook it? Well, you roast the okra. That is one of the best ways to eat it. Just like beets, I always roast my beets. I don't boil it, nor do I eat it raw. I don't. That's just me. All right. So we are also going to do some plantains and some aguacate. Let's see. Let's open the aguacate and see how good it is. Oh, the knife goes in nicely. It's got the long neck. So it is a Panamanian aguacate. Mira, pura mantequilla. That's what they say. If you cut into aguacate and it's pale, that's a no bueno. It needs to be golden like this. So that means it's gonna taste buttery. Mantequilla means butter. Very good. When I was growing up, you get a piece of aguacate with hot bread. Whew. It was a done deal. My dad used to be a baker. Mm. 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 So good. Yesterday during that deluge storm, I said, I need a rolling pin. When I was, somebody donated this to me. What is this? This is not what a baker, somebody who's serious about baking. So we're gonna start doing some baking. Gonna rolling pin. You know, when I go to Conway, I'm looking for things that are on sale. And this was on sale, I think for like $2.99, something like that. I'm like, okay, I'll get one. And you know, that's how you start collecting gadget, I'm telling you. And then I found this little thing here. Look at that. It was on sale. So when I have a party, it's nice to put my silverware in here instead of in a cup. Like that. And then I've been looking for some things, you know, like if I make a soup or something, I want a place where I can put the bread. So I got this cute little thing, so I can just, I was looking for more like a little basket, but they had long ones, and I don't want something that big, so I'm gonna use that. That's a stick. No, it's not heavy enough. Even if somebody came here and I was trying to hit him, my rolling pin at home was heavy. This is light. I couldn't even knock somebody over with this. But bueno. So let's soak the plantain. Sometimes we don't. I don't, but we have some time today because I want to give the okra a little time to cook, maybe 10 minutes, and then I'll do the grits, because the grits doesn't take that long. But I want to cook it because you got to beat it. That's where you got to get a good whisk. This is my whisk from my knife bag when I went to school, and I have yet to find another whisk that is as good. Now, at the restaurant, I had some big ones, you know, because when you're making like a big pot of anything, you need a bigger. That's why, you know, you kind of have good arms, because it's in the wrist. You got to beat it and release the gluten that makes that the grits. What's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of sticky, right? And it's because of the gluten. Now this one says it's gluten-free, so we'll see how that comes out. All right, for the plantain, you know, when I grew up, we used to soak them in a little bit of salty water with some vinegar, and you squeeze that on so it doesn't oxidize. All right, where's the other knife? Now I know I had it here. Yeah, there it is. And then we're doing some onions and peppers, bell peppers. Bell peppers are expensive here. All right, so I'm going to do mine like this because I want it to go on the side of my plate. So we call cutting on a bias. You're not cutting it like this, you're cutting it slanted. We call that on a bias. there is a dish I'm trying to work on, but I need some fresh guandules. Guandu, the one that they have here, it's not the same. You know, like a green pigeon peas, fresh. That's what I'm looking for. I cook it like you're cooking black beans. You cook it and then you blend some of it. Let me get another dish. We're gonna cut our bell peppers. So this morning, I thought I had big ones. Didn't he charge me like $4 for these? I tell you. All right. Now we're gonna rinse these, scrub them with soap and water, okay? That's important. Now I just bought these, but if you buy a lot of your vegetables, remember what I said, you soak them in your sink with vinegar and baking soda, and then you scrub the skin. You're trying to get rid of anything they might have sprayed them with. And spray them, they do. I've told you. All right, so let's see. Are we gonna do slices, juliennes? Yeah, let's do juliennes, but not too thin. These are called julienne, the lengthwise. And I like to keep my cuts the same, but I think they look prettier in julienne with the shrimp. Because you know, you think of the size of the shrimp. Oh, and this guy was talking about when you look at the peppers, look at the bottom. If it's 3, it's a male. If it's 4, it's a female. I'm like, who knew? Why should I care about male and female bell peppers? Lord have mercy. You know, I'm thinking of all the stuff we have going on, the Voting Rights Act and all the mess that is happening. I'm going to worry about the bell pepper being male or female. I don't think so. I do not think so. Whew. I'm just grateful I get something to eat. Even though the heart is heavy. You know, I was thinking this morning, and I said, when you look at the state of the world, of course, you got to take refuge knowing that there is nothing new under the sun. That wickedness and goodness have always coexisted, will always coexist. So your choice is to decide how you live within bread plate. Oh, thank you. You know, how you're going to live a life that is meaningful in the midst of the chaos and the mess and the inequity and the blatant oppression or attempt. And this is what the world has always been like. You know, even if it doesn't happen in your corner of the world, it's happening somewhere. right? So the challenge to me is trying to remain hopeful, inspiring, encouraging in the midst of it all. And what you do is you look back at what our forefathers did, because if they had given up, we wouldn't be here. So can we do any less? I think not. So I cannot allow myself to give in to the despair. That would be a slap in the face of everything that our forefathers had done for us. Don't you agree? I can do no less, right? Because I have kids, I don't have grandkids, but not that I'm worried about people talking about me after I'm gone. That's not the point. But you need to make your life be worth something to someone. And our marching orders right now is to remain hopeful. So I have some red onion left over, so I'm going to use some of that. I think it's going to add to the colors that we have. That's why I'm grateful that I have something that I can do that keeps me engaged, hopeful, so I don't become a, depressed mess and say, oh my God, there's nothing I can do. The world is coming to an end. How long have you heard this? I was a child, a teenager, people started telling me, the end of the world. I can't really worry about that. If it happens, it happens. Got nothing to do with me. I have no control over the timeline. Ooh, nice. All right, so we got slices. So these are gonna go in at the same time. All right. I better have some scotch bonnet peppers. And I found one. Ají chumbo picante. Yeah, these are hot. So I'm gonna get one in there. So I'm gonna do a bunch of garlic. And then we're gonna get the, let me put two. I like the green ones, but these are not green. That's for sure. All right. El ajo. And I don't have greens. That is a no bueno. But I have some leftover arugula. Sure. So, when I was cooking the shrimp, I saved the shrimp heads because I'm doing the cookbook now, and I was doing some recipes. And one of the recipes that we're going to do is a section that we're going to do the broth, right? So we're going to do vegetable broth, chicken broth, beef broth, and then there's a fish broth we call fumet, F-U-M-E, fumet. And the fumet, the way you do it, you get shrimp skins and the scales and stuff, or if somebody has like fish, just the spine, the head, and then you put all that in there. But for the fish head, they want you to either roast it or fry it, and then you break it and you let it cook so you can release all that goodness, flavor. Oh, yes. Another pastime of mine is watching the Asians make their broth. They'll use oxtail, they have all kinds of herbs and roots and stuff, and they cook it for hours, and then they strain it, and that's what they use to cook their food. And that's why I keep telling you, if you have broth, you take the time to use broth, you're halfway there in the flavor, because that once you do that, you don't have to work so hard at making your food taste good. All right, so I left the shrimp head, so when I finish here, I'm just gonna pop them in the oven, let them dry up, so that when I'm ready to make the fumet, usually I don't do it, but when I'm gonna do it for the cookbook, then I can have that. And it could be that I'll be using it. I want to make a seafood gumbo. We can use that as our stock. Seafood gumbo, yum. But that tends to be expensive. So I'm not going to be looking for lobster. I'm probably going to get some corvina because it is a fish that is a little bit meaty and it can hold itself. Some shrimp. Today I saw some blue crabs, but they always look so pitiful, you know, that they're not really fresh. Crabs are not a thing here. This is not a place where you're gonna find a lot of crabs. Now they have the big what do they call those crabs? Indigenous crab. I've seen some of those. Like when you go and you ask, crab legs, and they'll give them to you. I was at the Mercado eating with a friend the other day, and I saw somebody next to me had ordered some crab. But I don't think it's the same thing as like going to a seafood fest and getting like a bunch of crab legs. Alrighty. So I don't want to make a lot of grits. Even though it's gluten-free, maybe it won't upset my stomach so much. I don't think I ever put garlic and onions in my grits. No, it's usually water, salt, oil, and I put a little pepper at the end, and then I have a little bit of cream, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so we're ready for our fish. Now while I'm getting the ready for the grits, I'm going to put a little bit of seasoning in the shrimp. Remember, your seafood does not need a lot of seasoning. And you don't need to put lime juice in it, because if you put the lime juice, it's going to start cooking it before you're ready for it. So I just do a little bit of oil. I don't have any vinegar. We're going to do salt, pepper, and a few herbs. Salt and pepper alone is fine for the shrimp. Every time I think of the chef, every time he's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "This is not how you salt your food." Oh my God. It's like, you keep thinking, I don't do any of that. I'm not impressed with all that wrist work. Make sure the food tastes good. That's what impresses me. Nothing else. This is a fine herb mix. Finas hierbas. See, and this friend is bringing me a set of tongues because I am challenged in the tongue department. All right. Ooh. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And fresh. Fresh. Check on my okra. You see, the less you touch it, the less slimy. Tastes really good. Yep. A few more minutes. Yum. Now see, if you want to just put that next to some meat, you can. All right. Vamos a empezar. All right. I do have some vegetable broth that we are going to use for our grits. I'm gonna save those. Now the grits will definitely have a little pat of butter at the end. That is a given. All right. So don't clutch your vegan pearls. And then I'm going to open this because I want to make sure I rinse it off, get all the brine off of it. And I think it was Greta that asked me what it looks like. You're going to see what it looks like. So, you know, whenever this is another prepackaged food, remember, I try not to eat any of that. But this one here, oof. And you know, how often do I eat this? Maybe once a year? So think about it. And I don't want the brine, whatever that yellow liquid is. I don't know what's in it. This is what it looks like, Greta. This is our key. Okay? So I'm gonna drain it in my yep. All right. So it's draining. Which one is my, oh no. Okay. I think I have pineapple water and not veggie broth. That's a no bueno. All right. So I'm going to use a little bit of this garlic. Now that I don't have the broth, I have to think flavor. How am I going to get that flavor up. Ooh, that's good. So I'm gonna put some water in. Like this. A little salt. I like to put the pepper at the end for some reason. No sé por qué. Alright. Now I'm gonna get the cast iron. I'm gonna cook my shrimp in the cast iron. Yes, because I love my cast iron. Where did I take the wine out? I'm not gonna put any of that in my I also have a jalapeno and I have some spinach. So maybe, depending on how my final product looks here, I may decide to put a little bit of spinach in there. Woo. Look at this baby. Now that's a weapon. If somebody messes with me and I say, you come on, I'm going to hit you over the head with that, yeah, you're going to get hit. Alright. So we're going to, this is a smaller burner, but this cast iron hits really fast. Can you see it? Yes. So we'll see. So we're going to do the shrimp first and then take them out and then do the veggies. Yes, yes, yes. So, this is my life. So last week I went and saw Michael the movie. I like it. It was okay. There is another movie I think is out. It's not a movie. It's about BTS. BTS is one of those. Are they Korean or they're Chinese? I think they're Korean. And it's like one of those K-pop groups. You probably saying, what do you know about K-pop, Maggie? Oh yeah, I keep up with the kids. Have another piece of avocado. Yum. A little bit of, this is the last of the flavored oil. And when you are cooking fish, you always want to do a mixture. Well, that's the way I do it. You don't have to, especially, well, if you're vegan, it's not going to be a problem for you. So I'm talking to my non-vegan people. Gonna put a pack of butter. You always do a mixture. And then you throw in some rosemary for flavor. Oh, ooh, my rosemary is almost out. Wow. Well, you know, this week, I don't think I cooked any this week. I got a little piece. Throw it in there. Now remember that this heats fast, okay? So you're gonna put the shrimp, leave it on there depending on the heat for a minute and then turn it. The moment they turn pink, you take them out. So I don't know, maybe I'll do the seafood gumbo next weekend. You know, I stopped eating shrimp for the longest time because of, they said, you know, it raised your cholesterol. And of course in the middle, they're gonna cook faster in the middle, right? Because that's where the heat is. Well, 2 to 3 minutes per side. And these are the babies. Alright. Then we'll take them out. When they're done, in the meantime, now we're gonna add our grit. And once I start, I need to get my whisk ready. Now grits is kind of a, sometimes it's like a, ooh, what was that? From the bag. Wow. Oh, that makes me spooked up because like, what is that? Because sometimes it thickens so fast. So I'd rather start slow and then add as needed. All right? That's what we're gonna do. All right, this one in the middle, probably good. Yep, so we're gonna turn the one in the middle. Let me see the one in the middle. As soon as this grit starts to thicken, I'll move it to a smaller burner. I really want my shrimp to be nice and pink, and I don't like what it's looking like in the cast iron, so I'm gonna put some in here. Alright, it's starting to thicken. It's because the heat is not as strong on this burner. Now see, you have to change course if you need to, which is what I'm doing here. So as soon as this the grit start to thicken, I'm going to move it to the smaller burner so I can use that burner here to finish the shrimp off. This is what you do as a cook. You adjust. Okay? Because I want it to be pink. Alright. Alright. Alright, so it needs just a little bit more. Because once it gets to the right consistency, the way it feels when I move my whisk, I will know. Okay? Alright. I'm gonna take these out. Put the rest in here. Alright, we're gonna move cover the grits. Alright, ooh, this is so heavy. Move the grits over here. Then we're gonna move our shrimp over so we can cook faster and get our stuff started. Where is? Oh, there it is. All right. But you know, the shrimp has a nice amount of water. I was surprised to see how much water comes out. All right, so now I'm gonna keep working on our grits. This is when I'm gonna add a little bit of my cream. Not a lot. Un poquitito. And then I like to put my pepper now. When I first moved to Florida and they started eating grits, I was like, what are they doing with the cream of wheat? Now you see the consistency? That's what I want. That's why you start slow and go slow, because if it gets too thick, then you're gonna have to put more water or whatever. Now this is the part that tends to make it creamy. You cannot skip this part. Otherwise, you're gonna get dry grits. I remember when I used to make grits at the restaurant, I used to have this guy, he would come every Saturday with his family. And he said, Maggie, your grits are always so creamy. How do you do it? I said, it's eating the wrist. Alright. I don't know, I was hoping my shrimp would be prettier. Pink, more pink. But I'm not getting it to be more pink. I don't think it's me, I think it's the shrimp. Alright, and we do have that little twig of rosemary. It just gets the flavor on point. You don't ever want to overcook shrimp because it's gonna become rubbery. That's why when I see people start cooking and they put the shrimp in there with the chicken, and I hold my pearls because I get upset. I'm like, you don't do that. I think it's time for me to take the okra out. And then we're going to put the plantain in there. Alright, so, ooh, our grits are looking yummy. So let's taste. Make sure I don't need to add any salt. And then we're going to let it cook and then add our butter at the end. Yeah, it needs to cook. Little bit of salt. So I'm going to turn the heat and let it cook. Alright? Oh, it wasn't even on the heat. Alright. Maybe I'm going to leave my cast iron. But the shrimp is not that much. Oh, those are nice and pink. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna put our garlic in here. Now usually, you know, I like to put the onions first, but this time, because the rest of what I want to add with the peppers and the onions, so we can put them together. Ooh. I've decided not to use the cast iron because it seems like it doesn't want to work with me today. So I'm getting all that juice oil. Ugh. Ooh, that thing is so heavy. Alright? Because I want to get all the goodness from the bottom. I think that's why I had my wine out. I want to deglaze a little bit. You know, seafood and white wine go very well together, right? Okay. I want to do coq au vin one day, which is chicken and red wine sauce, ooh, and mushrooms. Ooh, that is a French recipe. Alright. We're going to put the plantain in. A little bit of oil. So you could use your what is it? You can use your air fryer for these. I don't have an air fryer, so, and I'm old fashioned. And of course with my veggies, you know, I don't like them to be too overcooked. So I'm always looking, because it's got a little bit of white wine, so it's gonna be nice and yummy. So now let's season. Adobo. This sister brought me a rice out. Rice out. I have to see. She said it's a mixture of a lot of spices, but I have to look it up first before I start using it. Cumin. Herbe de Provence. Ooh, I love this stuff. And somebody else is bringing me herbe de Provence. Apparently they're all finding the small size. I was hoping for, and you know, I thought I had veggie broth. Ooh. I don't have veggie broth, but mira que belleza. Ooh. Beautiful. Let's squeeze some lime juice. Yes, sirree. But we need to have some liquid because we need something to sit the shrimp in. You guys know I don't like a messy kitchen, right? I have to clean as I go. I cannot stand a messy kitchen. No puedo. Alright. So I'm just going to taste and then add some water. That's good. All right. A little bit of liquid. Because you know I'm going to have to put my okra in there. That's when we're going to put our peppers for the taste. Now, if you are doing salt fish, it's the same procedure. You cook the fish. That's good. Got enough salt. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to add the okra, and then the shrimp goes in, and then let me go rinse the arki. This is the arki. I've rinsed it out, and it's very, very delicate. See? So you cannot be moving it around too much. And it kind of melts in your mouth. It's kind of like tofu. I have used it instead of tofu in some dishes. All right. And then sometimes I do add a little bit of cornstarch because I don't want it to be thin. I'm gonna leave a little bit of that okra. I don't need to put all that in there. All right. Gonna put a little bit of curry powder. And turmeric. Yes. Ooh. So you get a nice yellow. All right, let's check on the grits. Oh yeah. Perfect consistency. Still needs a little salt. I'm sorry, I can't eat it if it doesn't have enough salt. Then, you know, the butter I'm going to add is unsalted, so that's not going to help me. Yes. Perfecto. It's in the wrist. Okay? So at this point, some people would put like some dry herbs. I don't think I want to do that. People would put their cheese. I'm not using cheese. I don't have cheese in the house. It's not something I buy. I do have the queso blanco sometime if I'm making a salad, but that wouldn't work for this. You would need something like Gouda or Parmesan. Well, maybe, yeah, a little bit of Parmesan. Gouda. I'm a fan of Gouda cheese. Oh my God, at the restaurant, I used to use that all the time. But it used to be a bit expensive. Look at this. Look how creamy this thing is. That is how you cook good. All right. Muy bien. So we can turn the heat off of that. Now we're going to be doctoring this. It's got the right amount of liquid. I'm going to bring back our shrimp. Got a little bit of cornstarch. Ooh-wee. Yep. Mira qué belleza. Well, maybe when I put that in there, it's going to thicken it. Let's see. All right, we need some acid. Definitely some acid. So this is some adobo. Remember, adobo has some salt, so I'm going to keep looking at it, basting. Yep. Okay. So now let's make a tub. We're gonna put, maybe I won't put all of my ackee in here. Maybe I'll keep some for later. Yeah, because that stuff is expensive anyway. We'll save some. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Woo. Yes. Oh. Mira qué belleza. Remember, you don't want to be handling the ackee too much, but I think I do need a little bit of cornstarch. Just a tad. No mucho. You know, I went yesterday. I was at Super 99 and I was looking for cornstarch because I like this brand bowl and basket. I couldn't find any. I tell you, I don't like that store for anything. The only thing I buy there if I need is like nuts and the evaporated milk. Now I know what that is, but nothing else. I don't like it. Okay. Just a little cornstarch to thicken it. Por acá. Because you know, you don't want a bunch of sauce on your grits, just enough. We are good here, so we're just gonna add some acid and a little bit of butter. I've had this butter here since I had Fridays at Maggie's. We skipped April, so we're gonna start back this month. I just needed a little break. Just like I'm taking a break from posting every day on YouTube. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw, we're having a co-living Zoom this coming Friday. So just to kind of explore the idea, see what people are looking for. And it would be a way for people to find each other, right? To say, oh, I'm looking for co-living too. Can we chat offline, see if we are fit, right? So it's more of a meeting place. That's why I call it the gathering. Okay. We are done. So you can play with your food. You could do fish because it is shrimp and grits. Well, it is shrimp and grits, but I have used fish. Wow. The acid, it needed it. It needed the acid. Let's spread the cornstarch a little bit. Ooh-wee. Okay. So we can turn the heat off up here. Let's see what those plantains are doing. We're gonna put a little bit of on this. Let's see, this plantain. I want to be able to crush them a little bit because they're not really maduros. You know, you put them in an air fryer, I think maybe like 8 minutes. And then you press them with a cup or something, the bottom of a cup. And then you put them back in so they can dry up. Or you could cook them on the stove really quickly. All right, so we are basically ready because we have our grits. Yes, look at that there. You got to be careful when you're cooking grits. You don't want it to become a big solid mess, a block. That would be a no bueno. All right. Let's see. I was looking for a plate with, oh, I see, it's way down there. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna use this plate. You're always looking for a plate that has like a little bit of a depth in the middle when you're plating something like this. And of course, because now I am just obsessed with layering, so I think that's going to be my signature, layers with the hummus and whatever else that we cook. So let's put some grits in the middle. You know, it's like the same that you did with the, that I did with the hummus. Put it in the middle. And I don't want to do too much. Whew. You're my only one. Okay. And then we pick up our shrimp with the ackee and the peppers. Ooh. And color. Yes. And shrimp. Yes. And shrimp. Right, because it is shrimp and grits, so you gotta have the shrimp in there. Oh, yes. Oh. Play with your food. Oh, what's to be okay right there. Oh, that is so good. And you see how you have the small amount of liquid, but it shouldn't be too much, right? Look how pretty. Now, I'm gonna close this a little bit. It seems like it's spreading itself too much. Yeah, stay right there. Don't move. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's see if we can play with, we're probably not gonna get time for the plantain. I'll eat the plantain myself, but now let's play with the okra, not the okra, the avocado here. This is not like Haas, all right? So, let's see. Vamos. You're my only one day. Ooh, look at that. Mira qué belleza. Oh, okay. Let's see. I think it's got enough gravy around it. See. All right, so what am I going to do with the, I'm going to use the arugula just to add a little greenery on the side. And we need a couple of slices of lime because we have shrimp or seafood. I mean, I'm not particular about that, but I think you have to. People love to squeeze lime on their fish. I don't, but no es para mí. So let's just do this so we can have a little contrast with the greenery. See. All right, and then lime. I think I just had too much, about too many lime. So I have some that are like turning yellow. And I don't like to make lemonade because then I have to use sugar to sweeten it. And that's no bueno. We don't need to introduce sugar in our bodies. We need to go by natural sugars from fruits. No, not that one. Okay. A ver. Yep. I think we are done. All right, ladies and gents, shrimp and grits with aki and okra. I know. Look at that. Yes. Now see, this is not your regular shrimp and grits, right? Where would you find shrimp with grits with okra? People don't usually think of avocado. So this is manganized and Panamanized. This is Panama avocado, which is one of the best avocados I have tasted. All right, guys, thank you for hanging with me. I know it was a little bit long, but you can't rush perfection. All right, thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next weekend. I think I want to do the seafood gumbo. All right, au revoir, bye. Ooh, I always get my finger in the wrong spot.